Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sanjiv Yajnik, and I'm the chair of the Dallas Symphony. And today is about the future. It is about the future of our great city of Dallas. It is about the future of our great Dallas Symphony. Today is about the naming of our next inspirational music director for this symphony orchestra, which is one of the best in the world. Now, we were in search of excellence, and we did it through our search committee that was appointed by the board. So I want to take a moment to thank Mort Meyerson, the head of the search committee, Joe Hubach, our prior chair, Mary Cook, Brian Ratner, Jon Jordan, Hal Brierly, Ryan Anthony, Alex Carr, Nathan Olson, Ted Soluri, Peter Cioni, and Kim Noltemy, our CEO and president. Now, we wanted only the very best, no compromise. And so it is with great pleasure that I announce today that our next music director for the Dallas Symphony is Fabio Luisi. Now, Fabio was always very high on our list because of his reputation and also because of the comments that we had heard from our orchestra colleagues from around the world. In fact, our search committee traveled to see him perform in San Francisco and in Cleveland, and they were really impressed. He was everything we wanted and more. And then Fabio came to Dallas to conduct the Dallas Symphony, and it was magical. It was amazing. We had our candidate. To honor Fabio Luisi and to support him, the Dallas Symphony is launching a new Maestro Society, and charter members of Diane and Hal Brierly, Nancy Nasher and David Hemesiger, the Eugene McDermott Foundation, the Shirley and William McIntyre Foundation, and Margot and Ross Perot are starting this society with gifts of $100,000 annually to support Fabio's artistic endeavors and to support him. The Dallas Symphony is remarkable. Its home is in one of the 10 best concert halls in the world. More importantly, its orchestra, with its amazing musicians, have created a symphony orchestra that is one of the great orchestras of the world. And today we have our new inspirational music director. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and let's give a Dallas welcome to Fabio Luisi.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not a man of words, I'm a man of music. So make me conduct 5 hours, but don't make it talk 5 minutes. Nevertheless, I would like to express my joy to be here and my pride to have been chosen as a next music director of this great orchestra. When I came to Dallas last March, after an invitation to conduct a concert, to have a period with this orchestra, I was very happy because I knew this is a great orchestra. I chose a very challenging program because I knew this orchestra can afford this program properly and more than properly. Nevertheless, when I started to work with this orchestra, even knowing that the orchestra was great, I was overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed not only because of the technical skills of the orchestra. I was overwhelmed because the attitude and the spirit in our rehearsals were so fantastic. And I thought, after 15 minutes in the first rehearsal, I thought, this is an orchestra I can really work with. This is an orchestra with which I can achieve my artistic goals. This is an orchestra which I can go a path together, an artistic path, a musical path. And the result of these rehearsals, days, was 4 wonderful concerts. And 4 wonderful concerts in a row. This does not happen very, very often. That after the first concert, the second concert, the third concert, after the 4th concert, the conductor is still very happy. I was. So what I can say, I was asked, please talk about your visions. There is the say, if you have visions, you should go to the doctor. I have plans. I have plans and I have ideas which I will be discussing with the team. I believe in teamwork. I believe in people working together, our musicians, our administration, and me. And I will be happy to lead our musicians and our administration in finding the right things to do for the orchestra. It is not personal, what I like. It is what we need for the orchestra, what we need for our community here in Dallas, this wonderful town which welcomed me so warmly during my concerts, what we need for the future of our orchestra. And this is very interesting, challenging, exciting. American composers of the past, American composers of today, making a comparison between the American composers of the past with European composers of the same time. What is the difference? What do they have in common? What do they do not have in common at all? Making opera in this wonderful hall with this great orchestra. I think there are some points of my activity in the next years which we will be developing. But let me express one more time how happy I am to be here in this great city which reflects the spirit I could encounter in the orchestra. It's an open city, an open orchestra which welcomed me so warmly. thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to many beautiful, productive, exciting years. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Alex Carr, the concertmaster of the Dallas Symphony Orchestra. I'd like to begin by, first of all, thanking Hal Brierly for making it possible for Nathan and me to be here this morning. We just flew in last night from San Diego and arrived at 1 in the morning, and thank you, Hal, for your incredible generosity. I would also like to thank the members of the search committee, of which I was a part, to see the kind of commitment and camaraderie that was displayed by each and every member of that committee was inspiring, and I'm so proud to have been a part of it. This is my second search in my entire career. The first was in 2001 in Amsterdam when I was a concertmaster of the Royal Concertgebouw Orchestra. And at that time, I remember having a coffee with my principal bassoonist, Gustavo Nunez. And we sat there and we were discussing the qualities that we wanted in our next music director. And it basically came down to one sentence. We wanted someone who could make us look at music in a different way, who could make us feel as if we were looking at music anew, that we were learning, constantly learning. I had that feeling then when we hired Maris Janssens, and I have that feeling now hiring Maestro Luisi. Working with him has been an inspiration, and I cannot wait to embark on this path, this musical journey. Thank you.
I'm Nathan Olson, co-concertmaster of the DSO. I'd just like to say how excited the whole orchestra, the musicians of the orchestra, how incredibly excited we are about today's news. As you know, we had an amazing week with Maestro Luisi back in March. There was a connection and a kinship on stage that we all felt, as you said, immediately in the first just couple minutes that we felt immediately with you. And in fact, we felt so strongly about you that the musicians of the orchestra voted unanimously in support of hiring Maestro Luisi, which I can assure you is not something that happens very often. So we are thrilled that we get to build on that week, and we know that we have the chance to create something very special together with you over the next several years. Many other orchestras have been trying to get Maestro Luisi, so it is huge news for Dallas that we are here today making this announcement. The DSO has come a long way over the past 10 years with Maestro van Zweden, and we cannot wait to continue that journey with you, Maestro Luisi. Fabio, Barbara, welcome to Dallas. We can't wait to get started making beautiful music together. Thank you. To turn it over to Kim Noltemy, our president and CEO. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan and Alex. So we thought it would be best today to have a nice conversation with Fabio Luisi and hear all about him, his thoughts, his vision for the orchestra. So I think the first question is, what would you like to do artistically with this wonderful orchestra?
Well, as I shortly tried to say there, I think we have to explore. The work of a music director with his orchestra is to explore a range of the repertoire which have not been explored properly in the past. Well, you know, it's so difficult to cover everything, and there is so many things which are worth to be rediscovered or discovered. And this is the beauty of our work, that we are curious. So we are curious about things we know, maybe playing them under a new perspective, but also things we don't know and exploring them together. And that's what I would like to do in the next years, is focusing very much on the American repertoire. American repertoire as well, the classic repertoire, so the big American composer of the 20th century, but also to those which could be the classic American composer in the next century. I think this is also very important, and we have this wonderful initiative to commission new pieces for the Dallas Symphony Orchestra in the next 10 years, 20 new composition by 20 composers, 10 of them female composers, which is a very important signal to the world that we are here in an open city, open orchestra. We believe in equality, and we try to encourage young musicians to express their ideas. This will be one very important point of my activity here in Dallas. I think, nowadays it's not only what are we going to play in this wonderful hall, but it is how do we want to present our orchestra, not only in terms of objective visibility, but what are we doing for our community? What can we make our work visible for everybody, that it is important, because it's something, what music, someone said, music starts where you don't have any words anymore. So, and then you have music to express yourself in a different way. And this idea of expression, this idea of reaching the heart of the people is what we should do, we should be doing in the hall, outside of the hall. So we have to reach out, we have to go out and to seduce first, and then convince people that classical music is not usual, it's not normal, it is special. And this is special in our lives, we know that, because we live with this, but it should be special in everybody's life. And this is the second idea, so not only having our concerts here, which is of course very important, but also to tell to the people in the community why we are here, what we are doing for them. I told yesterday, we are not playing for ourselves, we are playing for an audience, and we have to convince this audience, and we have to answer to their question, why are you playing for us? It's not only, it's good that you are playing for us, but why? Because it's special, because it makes a difference in our lives.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. A question I think that we all have, because we love this hall here. The acoustics at the Meyerson are great from our perspective, but you have the perspective from all around the world. Would you tell us what you thought when you came here and you heard the music in this hall?
First of all, the hall is one of the most beautiful halls I know, as a hall itself. So I stepped on the stage this morning, and I had a look on, and which is for me a little bit unusual, because I have always in the other direction. So I can always, so it's a joy to look at this hall. And secondly, this hall sounds fantastic. This is a real joy to make music in this hall. From my position as conductor when I was here in March for Heldenleben, it was really a joy to listen to the orchestra. I would have preferred not to conduct, just listen. And this is the orchestra, and this is the orchestra in the hall. This is a unity, something which is very strictly connected. And it is important to have this hall for the developing of the artistical goals we have with this orchestra.
Fabio, first of all, to Barbara and to you, a very warm welcome to the city of Dallas. And you can feel it from all of us. But talking about warmth. In anticipation of the news for today, the temperatures in Dallas started rising to the point where we needed a little rain today to cool it down so that we could make the announcement. But one of the things that I know everyone will be curious about is what drew you, first of all, into music, and how did you finally get into conducting as your passion?
Well, my first contacts with music were when I was very, very small. So it was not my choice. I was 3 years old. It was my parents. I'm very grateful to them that they introduced me to music. I was kind of sick when I was a child, and so they thought he cannot do any sports and he cannot do a lot of activity. Let's occupy him with something different. And since a colleague of my father had a wife who was playing the violin in the orchestra of my birth town, which is Genoa, he asked her, could you give our son lessons? And so I started playing the piano. I had to choose, actually, between violin and piano, and I chose piano. And so I went into music, and I was pianist. I studied piano all my life. And then I loved piano, and I still love piano, but it was kind of not enough for me. I wanted to explore a broader range of music, of repertoire, of sounds. And so from there, it was the idea, why do not develop in another direction? I started working with singers, and they opened up for me the world of opera. And that was the beginning of my conducting career.
Thank you.
So speaking of opera, you're renowned as an opera conductor, and would you tell us how that connects with what you'll be doing with the orchestra in the future?
I think for an orchestra it is important to be at ease with the symphonic repertoire and with the opera repertoire. So there are opera orchestra which never played Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, and they complained about it, of course, I understand it. And there are symphonic orchestra who never played a Strauss opera or a Verdi opera, and they complained because we are talking about the greatest composers of humanity. And so I think it is important. It is somehow a different world, but especially the switching between symphonic orchestra and doing opera is very beneficial to the orchestra because they have to hear differently. They are used to hear to each other, which is very, very good. But now it's a dimension and a further dimension coming additionally. So voices reacting to each other, and the orchestra has to tell the meaning of the orchestra is the meaning of the words they are hearing from the singers. So it's a different, more complex way to make music, I think. And it is, every time I did an opera with the symphonic orchestra, they were so grateful, and it is very beneficial to them spiritually and musically.
So let's talk about children and education. You were fortunate enough to have your parents bring you to music when you were very young. And in the United States, it's a bit of a challenge to introduce children because it's not in the schools, and a lot of the parents aren't as comfortable with classical music as is the case in Europe. And so obviously every orchestra in America is working on these kinds of things, but I wonder what your position is on this and how you'd like to see it go.
Well, it is of crucial importance, of course. I think it's not necessarily about classical music. I think there is only two categories: good music and bad music. I I wouldn't specify pop music is bad and classical music is good. That there is great pop music and there is bad classical music. So I think it is important for the children. And I don't like either the idea we have to work with children because this is the audience of tomorrow. This is not the point. We have to work with children in music because music is important to all of us. It doesn't matter if they will be the audience of tomorrow or not, but it will have an impact on their development. And this is the point, what we are working on. So bringing music to children and making them familiar with the music discourse, with what is music and why is there music. This is the important point. And I think our work of our musician, of our orchestra and the community towards children will have a crucial impact on them.
Fabio, I'd love to hear a little more about, I love what you said about children and about music, because at the end of the day, you and I talked about this yesterday, music is life. Life without music is not worth it, right? But how do you see the role of, in the symphony, what do you see the role of the board, and what do you see the role of the community?
Well, the role, let's start with the community. I think is reciprocal. So you have to reach the community, and then community has to reach the orchestra. So this is a work you only can do together. And it's not only we are going to them, but they should be interested. So it's an interconnection which should work between the two. And we don't forget the orchestra is a part of the community. It's not something out of the community which just reaches out to the community. It's part of the community. And so it's important then me as a member of the orchestra playing the violin or playing the bassoon, I have to convince my friends and my what I know in my community, my neighbors, what I'm doing. A very common question to a musician or to a singer is, okay, in the evening you play a concert, what are you doing during the day then? And this is work, and this is something we are doing, of course, for us because we worked our entire life to become a musician, but also for giving the joy we are feeling and to giving the joy of music to others. So it is, you cannot have a border, you cannot have a wall between the community and the orchestra. So you have to penetrate this wall in two directions. And the role of the board of the orchestra is a very important one because the board is a control of what we are doing and is also helping us to achieve our goals.
Thank you.
So the Meyerson Symphony Center is in the middle of the Arts District, and there isn't an arts district in every city in America. There should be, by the way, but of course there isn't. What do you think about that whole thing, a street of museums and performing arts centers and theater and music?
Well, I think here in Dallas you are very fortunate to have such a vibrant arts life. There is a lot of museums, there is an art district, important for several reasons, and we are part of these art districts. So I think reaching out to the other cultural institutions will be one of the points we have to work on, because I think it's not this is a museum for visual art, and this is a museum for photography, and this is a museum for sculpture, and this is a natural history museums. I think everything belongs to the cultural life of a city, and we are not a museum, I know, because it's a different, you are coming, and here music is reborn again and again and again. It's not like just watching a painting. and so we are living art. We are art which is recreating itself every evening. But we should try really to interconnect with the other cultural institution in order to have plans together. And if there is an exhibition, and maybe we can play the music which is somehow connected to this kind of art which is exhibited in the museum, I think could be very, very interesting for our community.
So Fabio, you have conducted and played and led all over the world, some of the most beautiful cities around the world, and we'd love to hear from you about, from that vantage point, you know, we sit in Dallas, we love Dallas, it is amazing, but from your vantage point, when you and Barbara were talking about Dallas, and when you look at Dallas from an artistic perspective, what are your thoughts coming in, and what are your aspirations of where you would like to see us go?
I would like, well, my thoughts and my feelings coming to Dallas is of a very warm, welcoming city. And this spirit is the same spirit I experienced during my rehearsals with the orchestra. And is very, very much connected. When I walked around in downtown and I met people, and they are all smiling, and they are all welcoming, and they are all so nice. If I ask for directions, they talk with me 20 minutes, and that's great. No, it's really a great feeling. So you feel welcomed. You feel part of this city. And as I said, the same spirit I saw here on the stage of this hall during the rehearsals and the concerts. And what I would like to have is really being part of this community and making my part in order to develop my ideas in musical and in cultural terms.
That's wonderful. And can you just build on your thoughts about, you know, you talked a little bit about women in leadership, women composing, women conductors. Can you just expand on that a little bit and how you think about that?
Yeah, look, I think there is no difference. The problem is that in the past, and that's what and where we have to change this perception. In the past, the fact that the creative process was exclusively thought to be for men, this is a big mistake. So we have to correct this mistake. And the fact that we want to promote activities for women composing for us, for women coming to our stage and conducting the orchestra. If they are good, they should come. If they are good, they should compose. And not being excluded just because they are women. That's what I will be trying to do.
I am really excited that you said that, and it's a wonderful place for us to take a leadership role in the whole world with our first, in Dallas, our first woman CEO and president of the Dallas Symphony right here.
So perhaps we should take some audience questions, press questions right now. Go ahead.
How long will the contract be for?
The contract is for 5 years. Yes.
Barb,
When will he begin conducting?
the question is, when will Fabio begin conducting?
I will be here the next season for one concert. It is outside my tenure as music director. And as in the season 18-19, it is before my contract starts. Unfortunately, it's only 1 week, but I'm looking forward to that week. From 1920, it will be, I will be here more weeks as a music director designate, and the season afterwards, which is 2021, will be the first full season.
Sir?
Point out to the maestro, when I first joined the orchestra in 1963, we also used to be the Dallas Opera Orchestra. And many of our finest performances were done with Maestro Bacchino over at the State Music Hall. And we really benefited from that, raised our level. All those months we played over there with Maestro Bacchino and doing the opera that we did, and other great conductors also. So we did the complete range over there. And I'm glad to hear that you want to keep us doing that, because it was a great benefit for us.
Bill. Yes, thank you. We would like to introduce Barbara Luisi, who, by the way, is a great photographer and violinist in her own right. So, welcome.
I'm a supporter of my husband.
Sir?
So his first full season will be 2021. Will he pick any of the work in 1920?
So the question is, the first full season is 2021. Will he pick any of the work in 1920?
Yes.
Yes.
But I will be here 1920 already with strong programmatical moments. Are you not more curious?
There's one question right here.
I just wondered what your views might be for incorporating the symphony chorus into your plan.
So the question is, what are Fabio's views on integrating the chorus into his programming plans?
As much as possible. I have been music director of the Leipzig Radio Orchestra for 9 years, and they have an excellent chorus, and so I explored with them almost the entire chorus orchestra repertoire, and I would like to share my experience here in Dallas as well.
Do we know yet how many concerts you'll be conducting in the 1919-1920 season? How many programs?
Yes, 5.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
What about the pipe organ? What are your plans to use that?
Yes.
So plans for the pipe organ.
Yes, we have plans. We have already some programs we are talking about in order to use it many times for important works.
I think one point worth mentioning is that once Fabio's in his full number of weeks conducting, he'll be conducting about 58% of all of the concerts, which is a significant increase in over the past few years. Well, why hasn't anyone asked his favorite thing that he's looking forward to doing in Dallas other than conducting? Does he want to go to the rodeo? Nobody's asked any of these questions.
So Fabio, what is the most favorite thing that you want to do apart from conducting in Dallas?
I would like to explore a little bit the city and the surroundings of Dallas. I don't know Texas at all, and this is something I really would like to do, together with my wife, if she's with me. She rides a bike, actually, and I do not, because I'm scared. But if she drives, I feel safe. So she can drive me around, and I look forward to it.
Please go ahead.
Oh, the question is, did he get his cowboy boots and hat yet? I know the answer to this.
Boots, yes. Hat, not yet.
Not yet.
And I think we should point out that Barbara and Fabio made an excursion to North Park Center to buy cowboy boots in March when they were here. That would have been a big tip.
Go ahead.
So the question is the vision and plans for international touring.
This is a crucial point. It is very important because in my experience, a successful orchestra is the orchestra which makes itself available to the different audiences in different countries. It's not only, it is also, but not only doing recordings and making them available to people, but being actually there. And you have to build a partnership with the different audiences in the different countries. Otherwise, you cannot have success, and your visibility is very limited. So my experience says, the first time being in a XY country, doesn't matter where, first time is important, but more important than this is the second and the third time. So that people who already know you, they are coming back. Let's go again. And they are coming back again. When are you coming back is the most important question they ask when you visit Japan or China or Korea. They really ask, when are you coming back next time? So yes, there is plans and vision for this.
One of our orchestra members has requested a residency in Paris.
Definitely.
So let's talk about technology for a moment, because we haven't touched on that. What's your view on streaming concerts and using other technology to reach audiences, given the fact that you feel like the live concert performance is so important?
Well, we all know that technology is not a goal, but it is a tool. So, and we have to use technology in order to make us, as I said, available. It's, we are experiencing is switching between the hard platforms of recordings and going more to the streamings, to the live streamings. I think this is something we have to explore and we have to use in order to make our visibility bigger. Absolutely.
That's great. I saw another hand. Was that you, sir? Oh, Alex.
I was actually wondering about the repertoire that you'd like to sort of get to know the orchestra. And your favorite repertoire, I mean, I know you love opera, but in general, which composers would you like to explore besides the American repertoire?
I'm a curious conductor, so of course I have my favorites, which are the late romantic repertoire and the first 25, 30 years of the 20th century. But I like to explore, so I am exploring right now, for example, the Scandinavian repertoire, which is very interesting. I would like to explore a little bit of Shostakovich, which I did not yet enough for my standards. And so what I also like is rarely played works of as well important composers, but also composers we don't know so good anymore. And because sometimes I had huge surprises in terms of quality, of deepness, of musicality, and so I would like to do it. You want names? No. Yeah, you want names.
if we are going to do a little bit more Nielsen, a little bit more Sibelius, and if we are going to do Franz Schmidt, which is one of my favorite, and we are going to do that.
Sir.
I was wondering if you might tell us a little bit more about your plans to commission works.
This is a very good question because it is not that easy. In order to make commissions, first I have to know the composers, to know what is their musical and aesthetical world. I'm not picky because I'm open, so it doesn't have to be my taste, but it has to be something special, something personal. And so the first step will be, I have to know the candidates. We will be making a list of candidates to whom could we commission a work. And then after this, talk with them. I think this is the only proper way. It's not just, oh, it looks interesting, let's call him or write an email. Could have you time for write something for us? This is not the right way. I want to do it seriously.
Susie.
Since you mentioned Berlioz, would the Requiem be on your radar? We'd love to do that again.
So would the Berlioz Requiem be on your radar, is the question.
Berlioz is one of my favorite composers. I did a lot of Berlioz, but I never did Requiem yet.
So I have another question as sort of the leader of the organization after you. It's interesting to me that you have a broader perspective on things like marketing and public relations and just the collaboration with the administration, which all conductors don't have that perspective. So I would love you to chat about that a little bit.
Well, I'm not a professional in those things, but I know how important they are, and I miss them if they are not here. And I was with many orchestras which had really nothing to do about this, and this is something so important because, of course, I can give an interview and I can make a statement in a newspaper, but I need a structure which makes a plan, something, okay, well, the first thing we have to ask ourselves, where do we want to go to? The second thing, how we go there. And this is something you need professionals. I cannot improvise this, so I need you in order to do this. And this is not for me personally, but for the orchestra, because I want to increase the visibility of my orchestra. I want that everybody knows how great this orchestra is. And I want everybody knows that in Dallas we have a vibrant art life. And this is important but it's not, that's what I said before, it's not just the moment of the concert here. Yes, it is important, but this is only one small piece of the bigger picture.
So may I ask the question about your perfumes?
This is a hobby. It's a passion, and I like to do it, and you're welcome to buy them if you want.
So for those of you who don't know, he makes perfumes.
Will they be available on the Symphony?
We can talk about it.
I think I have a suspicion they will be available in the Symphony store.
Did you have a strong impression of the Dallas Symphony before you came here in March? Did you know much about it?
It was not the first time, because I came here the first time in 2002, so it is 16 years ago. And I was conducting at that time Mendelssohn's Third Symphony, and Paganini First Violin Concerto with a young German violinist. Already at that time, although I was younger, it was for me a very important orchestra. I have at home many recordings of this orchestra, especially those under Dorati and Mata. And most of them are really remarkable recordings. So this orchestra, in my times as a student, belonged to the great American orchestras. This was my impressions. And just before coming here, I knew, as I said, that this orchestra is a great orchestra. And so it was a pleasure to be invited, of course.
And Fabio, can you mention a little bit about the change, though, that you've seen from the many years you had come back previously and then the new experience that you had with the orchestra?
It is very hard to say, I have to admit, because I was young at that time. I was just starting my conducting career, and I was overwhelmed to be invited by Dallas Symphony Orchestra, of course. And after 16, I could remember some faces of musicians from that time to last March, but I'm not able to make a comparison between the two times. I'm sorry.
Well, our time is wrapping up here, so thank you all for being here for this momentous occasion for the Dallas Symphony Orchestra. And I'll let Sanjiv have the final word.
No, thank you so much, Kim. Like I said, this is a really special day for all of us. And as we look into the future, I am so excited about our orchestra and the musicians and the amazing talent that we have sitting right here, sitting in one of the best concert halls in the world. And Fabio, a warm welcome to you. Your guidance, your inspiration as we move forward is really going to take us into an amazing future. I can just hear it, and I'm so excited for all of us. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.